ready.
Okay. This is Sky with PoliticsNY. Schneps Media is asking each candidate running for New York City office this year 3 questions in 3 minutes. And right now I'm with Avi Cyperstein. He is running for New York City Council District 29. That's in Queens. And let's get to know him a little bit. So Avi, tell us about yourself and why are you running for office this year?
Great question. So a little bit about me. I was born, raised, live, work, and volunteer right here in the district where I'm running for city council. I've been here my whole life. I went to school here. I volunteer here. I run my business here. As a volunteer, I've been an EMS, an EMT, emergency medical technician for over 13 years, providing assistance with medical emergencies throughout this district. So I've got to meet a lot of the people that live here over the years, but generally in their, moments of extreme crisis. I've also started a volunteer organization called Chaverim, which in Hebrew means friends. And we have 100 plus volunteers who also provide assistance throughout the community, but for non-medical emergencies. So anything ranging from like, if someone gets locked out of their house, they leave a child locked in a car, if they leave their dog locked in a car. We actually had a call a few weeks ago for a canine unit that left their dog, by mistake, of course, locked in the car with the keys inside. And we were able to rescue that dog before it became an emergency. So it's non-medical emergencies and we adapt all the time. As people call us, if we have someone who's available to help, if it's a plumbing, we've gotten some of the craziest calls, someone's having a leak or someone dropped their keys down the drain. If we can do it, we've got a lot of volunteers who work in all different types of fields and areas, and we're there to do it. During the COVID, at the height of the pandemic, we actually pivoted and created another task force to pick up medication and food for those that were in quarantine and elderly. And more recently, our volunteers have been assisting elderly get their vaccine appointments and get to those vaccine appointments. So I've had a pretty good handle on the community for a number of years. What inspired me to run is during the height of the pandemic, I was responding in what's called a PAPR, P-A-P-R. It's like a spacesuit, hazmat suit. It's this huge helmet that goes around your head. There's a picture on my website if anybody wants to see what kind of a clown I actually look like.
You don't have it readily available to put on right now on camera?
I could probably get it in the next 30 seconds.
Hey, let me put this on pause and you'll go get your suit, please.
Okay, cool. You got it.
Because Avi, during the pandemic, I became famous for wearing my snowsuit around Manhattan because how else are you supposed to eat outside when it was below freezing? So now let's see your famous suit that you wore during the pandemic.
You want me to put the whole thing on?
You could just tell us about it, but yeah, show us.
Sure. Okay, great. Yeah, I'll put it on. Here we go. Every night when getting ready to go out on a shift, I would put on one of these hazmat suits, they call it. And then we would put on this PAPR, it's called. It's an external breathing device. I'm going to show you how I used to show up to calls.
Got to remove the yarmulke for this one.
That's right. So there's a rubber, like a tight rubber insert in there that
it looks like something they wear in the movies when there's like a big scene with lots of blood.
So we actually, can you hear me?
Yes.
We would actually show up to calls. This is the respirator device, which would clip to the side. And I would show up to people's homes like this. Hey, how are you? What's going on? How can we help you?
Would they let you in their homes dressed like that?
There were people that were quite frightened when I showed up like this. And then there were other people who actually said, they would open the door and they're like, oh yeah, everybody in here has COVID. Like they were ready for this.
Okay. So Avi, you can continue with the mask on or you can remove it, but I'd like to hear how this now translates into a campaign for public office.
Great question. We'll put the back on. There we go. So at the height of the pandemic, I was responding into people's homes with this device. And I have 13 years of medical field training that we have to follow to the T. We have protocols that we need to follow. And those protocols were changing daily. And here's the problem. A lot of those protocols were changing not necessarily on the healthcare based on decisions that were best for the healthcare needs of these patients, but rather based on political decisions or what kind of hospital bed availabilities there were. And if there were no hospital beds available, or if a hospital felt that they were too overwhelmed at the moment, so anyone with a lower oxygen level that normally, let's say, we would have to rush to the hospital, we were advising them to stay at home and call us if it gets worse. And that's something that really, really bothered me. So I decided to look further into like who's making these decisions, why and how. Now, I do have a little bit of a political background. I did work for 2 small sessions with an assembly member a few years ago, mostly in the back office, a little bit out on the streets. I never ran a campaign, but I, did some, constituent work. So I did have a little bit of a political background in that sense. And I also, as a founder of a nonprofit, I've worked very closely with all the electeds in our area. So like Karen Koslowitz, whose seat I'm looking to take over, the borough president, Donovan Richards, DA Katz. I've worked with these people. I know them for many, many years. So I knew a little bit about, or not a little bit, a lot about the political space. And so I decided to look into it further. I sat down with a few of the people I call my advisors, the people that, help me make decisions, because I have a lot of crazy good ideas. Some of them are not such great ideas, but often I've learned if you throw that idea by a few people and they like it and they're ready to help you with it, then generally it'll gain steam. And so we talked about me running for office, which is not something I've ever aspired to do. I never, ever, even this morning, never woke up saying, I want to be a politician. But I do wake up every day saying, how can I make the world a better place? And what can I do to help people, like genuinely? And it sounds so cliche, but I really feel like when I do for others, and I have, through my volunteer work, I find that on the days that I'm helping other people, my day is somewhat brighter. Something happens good for me. So whether it's selfish or not selfish, I've learned that when I give to others, good things come back to me and good things happen to those people around me.
So that's the story of Avi Cyperstein running for New York City Council District 29. Thanks for being part of Schneps Media's 3 Questions in 3 Minutes. And I'm Sky with PoliticsNY.